I'm scared. Like I don't use Twitter anymore because I'm like, if I say anything that's wrong, like everyone's gonna see, and that's horrible. And especially in this day and age, everyone is so super sensitive.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a comedian, so it's even harder for me because obviously our job is to kind of take the piss a bit. But yeah, Twitter is so dangerous because you can throw out your opinion, but sometimes it doesn't even feel like you have the right to have an opinion if it's offensive to someone.
Right.
You know, you like no matter what. Like, and I think that's kind of a shame as well. And yeah.
I've always regarded it as a platform of anti-nuance.
Yeah,
and it's why people get angry, because what you do is you have this big idea you want to communicate, and you're shoving it in a funnel of, I don't know how many characters it is now, but it was like, it used to be 120, didn't it? And so if you're trying to shove all that thought into 120 characters, it's not going to be nuanced or well thought out. It's going to be like the point of it.
What is it now? How many characters is it? Like 2 something, isn't it? AI, man.
Yeah,
AI, it's mad.
But I don't bother. But you're right about also people judging you on anything you said. I'm sure there is stuff on my Twitter feed from when I first started, which is bad. And I will be called out on it one day and people will say I'm a terrible person. But that is why I think we have a responsibility now to say we're not perfect. Like I've put my hands out. A story I tell a lot of people out, and I've not done it on the podcast yet, so I'll tell it now. But like when I first started YouTube 12 years ago, I did like comedy sketches here and there, not particularly good ones, especially this one I'm about to mention.
Okay.
And I did parodies of different YouTubers.
Yeah.
And there was a YouTuber who was a fashion guru.
Okay.
I'll say his name. His name was William Sled, and he went on to be on TV, and he did amazing stuff. And so I did a sketch of him, and I didn't know him personally, but I did a comedy sketch, just making fun of the way he behaved and stuff like that. And I uploaded it, and it did quite well amongst my circle of friends, people saying it was funny.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to him, and I was like, hey, William, I made this. What do you think? And I didn't hear back. And back then we used a live streaming website called Stickam.
Okay.
And he was live one day, and so I went into his room. I was like, oh, hey, Will, it's Miles. I made that sketch. What did you think of it? And he went, oh, yeah, I was totally mortified, like, by it. And like instantly I felt so bad, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I deleted it.
Yeah.
I followed up with a message apologising. We didn't speak again, but we didn't really speak much anyway. And I know, without doubt in hindsight, it was a homophobic video. Some of the gags about him being very camp, it was completely homophobic. And you know what? I deleted it. There's every chance it could be found and someone would upload it one day. And that 12 years ago of me will be used to judge me now.
Yeah.
But I would condemn it.
And
I would be mortified if that was put up now, because it was disgusting and it came from a place of ignorance. There was no malice in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's why we have to be careful about where intention lies, because we all make mistakes. And the problem we have in our world today is if every time someone makes a mistake, we say you're an evil person or you are a bad person.
Yeah.
And I speak a lot before about, I don't think there's such thing as about being a good or bad person. You're a mixed bag. And you know, we believe like an apple can turn bad, but a bad apple can't go good. But we're human beings, we can improve.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you are just going to say someone's bad, you're basically defining them and you're not giving them room to improve.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely, even when I was like in primary school, that I told racist jokes. And I know it. And actually, I remember the first time when I stopped, and I must have been really little, like 10 or maybe a bit younger, but I was at a park telling a racist joke, and this guy, you did it because you got the laughs, and there was this power play with it, and this guy said, oh yeah, tell it to my mate, and he was of Asian origin, and I told this racist joke, and I saw him just go like dead serious. And in that moment, it was like just empathy in that moment of like, this is the consequence of you telling a joke. Like I got the laughs when you did it in the playground. And in that moment, it was like, never again. And I remember apologising there, but his mate was like laughing, and I just saw it in his face. And it was just like, that's how you learn in life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's all right that I learned it. That caused him a bit of pain in that moment. Yeah. And that's terrible. But
what was the joke?
I can't remember.
You do. Go on Google. They know.
Go on Google. Yeah. No.
I tell the joke.
I can't remember the specific joke.
And
even if I did, I wouldn't repeat it.
Thumbnail of an Asian guy. Just.
But the fact you say that, and I feel like really tense inside, is because it's traumatic to think that I was a human being that did that, and it's because when I look back in my past life, there are things I don't identify myself as being today, because we change and we learn.
Do you think though that people are way too, like a bit too sensitive? Because I feel like if there's malice in a joke,
Sure,
then 100%. I think, you know, like with me, I'm a comedian because I want to make people laugh and feel good. So obviously, if you do the opposite, that's completely like going against what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So then I feel like I'm a failure. So I've always tried to keep that balance, and I never want to offend anyone. But nowadays, like, people would get offended over anything, you know, like anything, like, you know.
Do you know what it is, though? I do wonder to what extent that is true, because I think there will always be someone online who says, I'm offended, and that's what the media will pick up and say, look at these offended. I think there's this massive middle ground of people that just want to be like, whatever, like, I didn't find that joke funny. But it's the loud voices are going to be the people that want to offend, like for offence sake, and those that are, I've been offended or I've been triggered and all this sort of stuff. So, but yeah, in terms of sensitivity, I think there's no doubt that people are more sensitive on certain issues these days. But I think it's also because we're making a lot of progress in terms of just
I agree.
ethics.
I agree with that.
And I think that might be, and as a result, unfortunately, you are getting people that are, I think in a way, the people that are most sensitive are probably making progress for us all. But they're they're punching far, and it's like, we don't want to go that far, but by them doing it, it is making us move along. It's a weird one.
I think we're definitely learning. Like, I'm learning every day. Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, sometimes when you like as an example, even, I mean, I don't really get any backlash, but you know, for us, slang back in the day, like just on road, like if you didn't like anything, you'd be like, oh, that's gay. Yeah. It wasn't actually, even though in essence it's kind of, you know,
it's homophobic, but it was never meant.
But it was slang, you know, you know, like slang would be so weird. Like you if you compliment something and like something, you say it's sick, which is kind of meaning the opposite.
Right.
So it's so weird, but it was just slang. But then obviously when I grew up, I was like, oh, okay, maybe in South London people would understand that, but now when you're appealing to so many people, you know, and especially like back then, like, I had like a small group of friends, and two of them, obviously the sexuality was, you know, different. They were, you know, they're gay, so I didn't want to upset them. So I was like, oh, the more people that watch this, I have to be even like, I have to think about not just in my world what I, you know, feel is okay and what isn't. But at the same time, like, what other people like, because when you do a YouTube video, someone in Thailand or Korea, maybe not North Korea, or was it South Korea? Which one's a bad one? Whatever. Yeah, that's one. Kim Jong-un, that one. Yeah. But yeah, like people like in all these different parts of the world that will have a different kind of like mindset.
Sure.
And I think that's quite. But I definitely do agree with you. I think that at the same time as well, being more careful makes us kind of be kind of more kind of knowledgeable about other people's kind of feelings, and we conduct ourselves better, knowing that, you know, we're basically watching where we're stepping on, which is, I think, really important.